NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
We know how.
Don't let your guard down. It's a warning from San Diego County health leaders urging caution ahead of an historic heat wave during Labor Day weekend. Thanks for joining us for the Nightly Check-In. I'm Monica Dean. With looser reopening restrictions because of San Diego's downward trend, experts say there's a big risk of a surge.
We cannot have selective memory about this.
Dr. Abisola Ululade of Sharp Reeve-Steely says she's hoping everyone continues to take the coronavirus seriously. Evidence has shown that holiday weekends do result in a rise of coronavirus cases, mainly because of group gatherings where wearing face masks and social distancing isn't practiced. Dr. Ululade says reducing the number of cases is a community effort.
The evidence is there. We have to believe it. And that's really the only way that we can get through this. It's still a virus that we don't have a lot of treatment options for.
Doctors also remind us that the flu season is approaching. They say the best measures we can immediately take are wearing a mask and keeping our distance. Reaction is rolling in after yesterday's startling news that SDSU is suspending in-person classes after a spike in student COVID-19 cases. Today we heard from homeowners near the campus who say they're fed up with a lack of accountability.
These are their students. They wouldn't be in this community if the university wasn't here. They came back to attend online classes instead of staying home to attend, which is fine. That's their choice, but it's so that they can socialize. And socializing in and of itself isn't a problem, but huge parties with no masks and no social distancing is a problem.
Neighbors near the university told NBC7 they've witnessed several off-campus parties and more should be done to monitor the situation. Right now, more than 100 students are in quarantine. SDSU says it has contracted a private security that will patrol in off-campus areas looking for violations of COVID-19 policies. They say they've already issued 311 notices of possible violations. The CDC is telling all 50 states to be ready to distribute millions of potential vaccine doses as early or as late as October or early November, just about the time of the November elections. The U.S. is still averaging more than 40,000 new cases per day and more than 900 daily deaths in the past week. Dr. Anthony Fauci says that number needs to be closer to 10,000 or fewer as we approach the flu season.
You don't need to lock yourself down, but don't be careless about things. And such as, crowds in a bar or what have you. Make sure you wear your mask.
Those vaccines will likely first go to healthcare workers. The Trump administration says they hope to have 300 million doses of a coronavirus vaccine by January 2021. As we mentioned, we are expecting a busy holiday weekend at the beach, especially with higher temperatures heading our way. In anticipation, Carlsbad State Beach announced they'll be closing their beach parking on Ocean Street throughout the weekend to deter large crowds. So far, Carlsbad is the only beach that plans to close some of its parking. Now let's check in with Dagmar with the excessive heat warning for the next few days.
For your Friday, you are now starting to feel the heat. Thursday was a little bit of a hint of that, but your Friday, you're really feeling it. And that's also why the excessive heat warning is in effect for at least the inland valleys, the mountains, and the deserts. The coast, you will not be exempt from this. It will also go into effect for you tomorrow, and you will notice the heat spike another 10 degrees. So add on to that what you're seeing today, which will be the coast at about 80 degrees. The inland valleys already in the mid to the upper 90s on average. Mountains on average low to mid 90s, and you're looking at the deserts at about the 112 to 115 mark. Again, you can tack on a good 8 to 10 degrees on these temperatures through the weekend. We'll keep you posted on that. Know that for your Friday, the heat is already being felt, and we've got a red flag warning on the way for the weekend. Please keep these in mind.
NBC7's Nightly Check-In is sponsored by Bill Howe Plumbing, Heating and Air, Flood and Restoration.
Call 1-800-BILL-HOWE. Bill Howe. We know how.
Bill Howe is a family-run company that is as diverse as their services, promotes employees from within, and gives back generously to the San Diego community.
I am Bill Howe.
I am Bill Howe.
We are Bill Howe.
We are Bill Howe.
Because we know how.
The Padres are rolling out their plan to develop an area currently known as the Tailgate Lot. The proposal is named East Village Corridor and now goes to the city for approval. The development includes more than 600 housing units, including affordable housing plus office and dining space and 1,600 parking spaces. If approved, the project would be built along 12th Avenue between Imperial and K Streets in the East Village. 2 local movie theaters are back open with new COVID-19 protocols in place. Reading Cinemas just opened its theaters at Claremont Town Square and Grossmont Center. All theater attendees must wear a mask. Guests will be required to sit in their assigned seats to allow for physical distancing. They'll also only be accepting credit, debit, and gift cards. No cash is allowed. Regal Cinemas has reopened several of its theaters across the county as well. And the nation's largest movie theater chain, AMC, also preparing to reopen many of its San Diego locations tomorrow. One of the most highly anticipated movies next year is hitting a bump in the road.
I'm vengeance.
Just days after production resumed in London for The Batman with Robert Pattinson, it was immediately shut down after a positive case of COVID-19 with a crew member. No word on whether the interruption will impact next October's slated release date. That's going to do it for our nightly check-in. Thanks for joining us. Have a good night and take care.